Hi guys, and welcome to Cooking with Z. If this is your first time, welcome. I hope you enjoy our session today. And if you're back, I'm glad that you're back for more recipes in my special kitchen here. Even though it's small, I happen to love it. Today, I have a very quick and delicious recipe that I want to share with you guys. Um, I I actually love cooking pasta because it's so how can I say versatile. So it's really hot in this kitchen because I'm boiling water. I have no windows in my kitchen. There's so much you can do with pasta. Now, but today we're gonna cook with fettuccine. Okay, so it's gonna be we're not gonna use a whole lot of ingredients for this recipe simply because we're going to use Italian sausages, the sweet ones, and they have a lot of flavor. So you really don't need to put a whole lot of seasoning when you're cooking with this. Not if you want that kind of flavor. I'm going to use marinara sauce. I love cooking with this sauce when it comes to pasta. There's so many different kinds, but for this recipe, I use the marinara. We're also gonna need adobo, very little bit, garlic powder, and if you want to, oregano or celery flakes, and one or two packets of salt, a small slice of peppers, and any kind of vegetable that you want to use. I'm going to use carrots and just a couple of pieces of carrots and chopped tomatoes. And the cheese, the chopped cheddar is actually for afterwards if you want to shred some over the dinner after it's actually done. Okay. So when my kids were small, I used to make this for them, and we used to call them dry spaghetti. Just because, I mean, of course, you can make it, you can eat it as soon as it's done, but the more you let it sit and kind of the pasta soak in, the more flavor it actually gets. So that's where the dry spaghetti thing came from. So we're gonna get right into it because that way while this is boiling, we can start doing the sausages, okay? So now it depends how many people you're gonna cook for, and if you're gonna have leftovers for the next day. This usually makes pretty much a lot. I do half the box, and I usually have leftovers for the next day. Depending if anybody comes over or how many people I'm cooking for. If it's just 2 to 3 people, then I can just use half. I'm going to use just a little more than half. It is up to you how much you want to use. I'm using San Giorgio, sorry, because I really think that it's the best one for as far as linguine. I like Ronzoni and all that stuff, but for this one, I like this brand. You can use your brand. There's nothing wrong with the other brands. We get used to a certain brand, and we kind of get stuck with that. Sorry about that. I try to get everything here before. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pasta so it doesn't stick. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to move this pot over to the other side so that way I can put the pot to do the sausages, okay? Sorry about that. Now, let's put this here. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going a little tiny bit. You can see how tiny that is. Because the sausages also has oil in it. Let me get my scissors. Okay, I use my kitchen scissors. You can use just regular knife if you want. It doesn't really matter, so I'm gonna get them cut. Um, Usually I would cut these when they're like semi-frozen. They're still cold, but they're not frozen or anything like that. So I just kind of just grab it and just kind of cut about this piece right there. Now it depends on you how thick you want them to be. Do keep in mind that they do shrink a little bit when you cook them. So you don't want to cook it too small because you do want to, have the meat to be nice and juicy as far and semi-thick, at least in this household. We like it to be pretty thick. Now I like to slice them. Some people actually chop them. I usually do that, but I do that with another recipe, not with this one. But if that's your preference, if you think this is too big, then that's fine also. I don't think it's going to change a whole lot of the flavor. Try to use a wide pan just because that'll help it cook faster. Just because that'll be, each one will have a place on the actual pan. You understand? Like, that way it'll cook quicker. You can also cover it, and that would help cook it faster also. Now, just a little tiny bit of adobo. And I'm going to use oregano. I usually put a little bit while I'm cooking and a little bit after it's done. And garlic powder. Garlic powder, you don't have to worry about, I'm going to put too much because it's not salty. If it was garlic salt, then maybe. Now, I'm using a little bit of sofrito, but I'm not, you don't have to. It's just my preference. I like the Spanish flavor in there. And I'm going to use 2 packets of sazon. If you only want to use one, that is fine. I like the extra flavor, and I also like the fact that the color, it's nice and red. Then once you do that, you can just cover it up. I like to cover it up just for it to hurry up and get, cooks faster. Because once it does cook faster, then you can just saute it and throw everything in there, and then it's so much faster. This whole recipe, guys, will take you maybe 15 minutes to cook. Of course, in the video, it'll probably take a little bit longer, but that's because I'm stopping, talking, cutting everything up. But when you're at home and you're actually doing it, it really goes really quickly because there's not really too much to it. Once you throw the sausages in there, while the spaghettis are actually boiling, everything is being cooked at the same time. To me, what takes the longest to me is after it's cooked, because I like mine to be a little on the drier side, just waiting for it to soak up. So usually when I make this dinner, I usually cook it a couple hours before I actually want to serve it, so that way, by the time that I am going to serve it, it actually is the way that I want it to be. And like I said, I'm going to put peppers in this recipe. If you don't like peppers, you can substitute it for red onions. If you don't like the carrots, you can substitute it for celery, or you can use white onions. And there's so much, once you cook it once, you can always rearrange it and do it with so many different things. So So it really is delicious, and it smells so good in here right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cover this up. Let me get this so that it can cook faster for like maybe 3 minutes. Okay, and then I'm going to come back and throw everything in there. Okay, so I'll be back in 3 minutes. Okay, guys. Well, it's been 3 minutes, and the sausages are already cooked. You don't want to overcook them for the simple fact that you're still gonna put other stuff in. And let me show you the spaghetti. The fettuccine is already done. We're gonna strain it now, okay? I just use a regular strainer, and I leave it in the sink so it can drain completely as much as it can. And while that is draining, we are going to finish the sausages, okay? So the sausages have been cooking now for like 3 to 4 minutes. Not too long, but they cook pretty quickly. Now you want to move them, but you don't want to move them overly too much because you don't want them to break apart. You want them to stay, intact. It smells really delicious, guys. Now, once that you know that they're already cooked, you can lower it to a lower temperature, probably to low to medium. Now we're going to put the peppers in. These are diced tomatoes. You can use rotel, the crushed, whichever one you want. I like these because they're like big chunks, and a lot of times they break apart when you use the little small ones, so you barely see them in the food when you cook it. So if you want to actually see the pieces of tomatoes, I would recommend the bigger pieces, the chunks, not the little diced ones, okay? So of course you're gonna raise the fire up a little bit because now the stuff that you're putting in is cold, or at least semi-cold, and you want it to get hot before you put the sauce in. It smells so delicious. It's so simple. Like you see, we've only put peppers and tomatoes. What you used was garlic, half a teaspoon of garlic, and a little less than half a teaspoon of adobo. And if you want oregano or celery flakes, less than half a teaspoon of that. And if you do want to put sofrito, you can use, I use the tablespoon, the bigger tablespoon, okay, like the regular tablespoon. You know, they have the smaller one. But, like I said, I love cooking with sofrito, so that is my favorite spice, and my Cajun, which we didn't use today, but I don't use it for this recipe. So now we're going to let that simmer just for like 2-3 minutes, just enough for it to get hot. And guys, also for another tip, when you're cooking the pasta, same thing. You don't want to overcook it. You just want it to be tender. You don't want it to be super soft, because when you put in the heat from the sauce and everything else, and you're gonna mix it, you don't want it to break apart. You want it to be able to be firm enough that it'll stand on its own, and then when it soaks up the juices, you'll still be able to serve it without it, breaking apart. Do you see how delicious and beautiful that looks, guys? I have it on medium right now. I have a little bit of sauce left, which I'm going to put in because I do not like to waste my sauce. especially marinara sauce. So delicious, guys. Okay. Now, of course, I'm on almost the whole jar. It depends on how saucy you want your linguine to be. I want mine to be very saucy and juicy. So, plus you gotta remember that when you cook pasta, you see there's a difference when you serve pasta and you actually put the sauce over the cooked pasta. It's a difference than when you're actually going to now put the pasta in the sauce, because now the pasta is going to suck in all of the sauce. It's gonna absorb it. Oh my God, yes, yes, yes. Now I saved a little bit, it's about here, I used a little more than half. And if it looks like I need more, then I will put the rest in. But I believe that should be good enough. But sometimes I also put it in after when it's actually already on my plate. So it all depends on you guys. So I'm going to cover this for 2 seconds, and then I'm going to put this already in the pot so that you guys can see. Now, I'm going to use a big pot. This is the pot where I boiled it at. I'm going to use a big pot just because it'll be easier to show you guys with the mixing and stuff. But when you actually cook it at home, you don't need a huge pot. Okay? This is just for video purposes because it makes it easier for you guys to see what I'm doing if I use a bigger pot. Okay, so I want to make that known that it has nothing to do with that you need a gigantic pot. Now, the last step is going to be to put the cheese on. Now, you can use Parmesan cheese, Romano cheese. I'm going to use a chopped cheddar. You just need a regular shredder. You can use the bigger or smaller. I like the one with the medium-sized hose. And you can see it's already boiling. Now, I want to let you guys know, remember that, okay, the pasta is being strained, right, for the water, excess water. And this, of course, because the meat was already hot, so all we were really doing was just heating everything in, basically letting everything simmer. It's been simmering now for a few minutes. You can leave it longer if you want to. There's no need to, but you can if you want to leave it there, you know, get the juices going and all of that. Now I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to get a big pot so that you guys can see. Okay guys, I got a big wide pot so that you guys can see what I'm going to be doing, okay? Now, basically, like I said, everything is simple. The sausages is the hardest part, and that takes literally 3 to 5 minutes to cook max when you're at home. Here it might look longer, but that's not, trust me, when you're at home, it's very, very quick, very quick. Now, I'm going to take our sausages and everything that we put, and we're going to put it in the pan. Now be careful because everything is very hot. You might want to use a big spoon. It'll make it a little bit easier for you to get all that sauce in there. You don't want to leave it in the pot because this is where all the flavor is, right? So as you can see, look at all those sausages, all that flavor. Oh, this is hot. You see how beautiful? I love using the carrots because it gives it so much color. So now, guys, our spaghetti, our fettuccine is already drained. So we are going to slowly put it in here, okay? Now, I like to do it slowly because sometimes you don't have as much sauce as you think you do. So I like to make sure that I have enough for everything to be covered. See that? So you want to make sure you grab the sauce from the bottom. And remember, we still have half of the bottle of sauce if we need it. This looks delicious. So now we can put the rest. And you see how it's not breaking apart. Because it's firm and it's soft, but it's not so soft that it's going to break apart. Now, by the time that we eat this, it's going to be perfectly soft enough to where we want it to be for us to eat. And you want to make sure, be careful not to break the noodles, but make sure that everything is coated. And like I said, you can always put some more sauce if you want. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. Look at how delicious this looks. Look at those big chunks. Oh God, it looks so good. I think I'm going to put the rest of my sauce in there, guys. Now, you don't have to worry about reheating it because everything is already super hot, okay? So either way, it's going to be warm. It's not a whole lot of sauce anyway, but. Guys, I'm telling you, you are going to want to make this time and time again because it's just that delicious. And I love that you can see the chunks of peppers and the carrots, and everything just looks delicious. And it didn't take a long time at all. So as you can see, in my house, I would let it sit for a little bit, let it dry up a little bit. Try to debate whether I want to let it stand and I show you guys how it is when it's dried up, what I call dry spaghetti. Or if I should just serve it for you guys right now. I think I will serve a little bit for you guys now. And maybe let it dry up a little bit. Well, let me show you. About your kids. You know, if you got finicky kids that don't like to eat a lot of stuff and don't, you know, are very picky of what they eat, this is definitely a dish that maybe they would like, something that they would enjoy. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of the cheese. Doesn't have to be a lot. It depends on what you like, how much you want, and just kind of sprinkle it on top, guys, just like that. You see that? You see how delicious that looks. And that's it. So you guys can see better. So there you have it, guys. It was quick, easy, fast, and it tastes and smells amazing. And I know that your family and you will love this plate, are going to love this recipe. You're going to be sending me comments letting me know that your family loved the recipe. Okay, so guys, please try it out. Let me know what you think. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, please share, and please leave me a comment and let me know if you tried it at home, if your family liked it. If you didn't, if there was something that you think that I should have done different, I welcome all your comments, guys. So thank you so much for helping me lift up my channel, and I appreciate all your support. And thank you for cooking with me in my kitchen. Thank you and enjoy. Bye.